Hey guys, what's going on today? I just wanted to talk to you about the whole Roe versus Wade case. And to start off with that, the first thing I want to tell you is that I'm not judging you in any way, especially if you've ever had an abortion. I don't necessarily that doesn't make you a murderer. That doesn't make you like someone that is just completely evil. In my past life, I was very sexually immoral. I've been with women in my life where they had abortions, so I'm just as guilty as anybody else who's had an abortion. And so that's just as much on my spot. And so if you've ever had an abortion, this is not to bring judgment upon you. I believe that child is in heaven waiting for you to get there and actually raise that child. And so I think a lot of people that in the media drives this wedge in between people to create chaos and wars between people groups. A lot of girls and women who get abortions are really misinformed. I mean, a lot of the school system tells girls that it's just cells, and then a lot of people growing up tell them it's a type of a birth control. And so young girls and people don't always understand what's going on and fall trapped to that. But as a minister, I have spent much time dealing with people that have had abortions and the effects of those upon people. It could last lifetime. Even women who just have miscarriage alone have serious side effects upon women and their spirituality and their spirit and their psychological effect of that. So with that being said, I want you guys to know that you can disagree with some of my arguments here, and that's fine. I'm not hating you because of it or whatnot. But I can tell you that from when I've started studying history and abortion and looking at it, you look at the case Roe versus Wade was a very shoddy case. It passed through the Supreme Court at a time when there was no type of echographies or where they could do digital scans of the baby. And even afterwards, when those kind of science technology came out, the people that were actually involved in those cases came forward and denounced abortion and spent the rest of their life actually repenting of that and actually speaking out against abortion. I forget what her name was. Was that one of the ladies who actually testified at that court case? And she actually had lied about actually being raped and having a baby. And so there's a huge testimony of her online you can look up. The other one is I think her name is Margaret, is the lady who started Planned Parenthood. This woman was really a witch of a woman who hated minority groups. She would call minority groups that have lots of children breeders. And so when you have somebody with this kind of hatred in their heart, when they go and start something that pays for abortions for people, the intentions of that company are not good. They are there, and you can see the results of that being put into minority communities, these babies being torn apart and then sold as back out to the main for money. And so you can follow the money trail on these things, and it's quite, you'll be quite shocked if you do really delve and dive into it. Now, let's talk about why I think abortion is it is killing a baby. Because when you look at the heartbeat starts up within like a couple weeks after the child is born. I mean, if you have ever seen something like that, the baby starts moving, has fingers and toes. And so if we find cells on Mars in a water, we consider that to be a type of life. If you destroy eagle's eggs in America, you will go to jail. And those are eggs from a bird. Okay? So how much more important is an egg inside of a woman, of a human being? If we are going to lock people up for destroying eggs of an eagle, surely a woman's egg is that much more important. So with those two things being said, guys, Roe versus Wade, it literally, we're talking about somewhere along the lines of numbers of 50 million abortions, okay? Of that many people's babies' lives being destroyed. So when you are in heaven and sent to earth on a mission from God, that your soul comes down to earth and takes place when a man and a woman have sex. Their ovaries and their testes arc, and it forms this spiritual thing, apex in the spiritual realm, that creates this child. And it's like a stargate where a soul comes into the earth. And that soul is predestined from heaven to actually have a purpose and a calling into this world. And so if a child is aborted in the womb, that calling, what that person is supposed to do upon the earth, has then been taken out of the earth. And so the earth is then lacking. Say that person was going to be the next Leonardo da Vinci. Say that person was going to be the next Albert Einstein, or however you want to say it. Someone that had a calling to bring something and birth something into this earth that was going to be something better planned for humanity, right? And so that now those mandates then get passed down to someone else, and to someone else, and to someone else. But you have to understand that at some point in time, God our Father will step in and intervene because of the evilness and the wickedness, and put a stop to it. And judgment of bad government, and what we see with presidencies that we have now, is a form of that type of judgment upon the land. And I just find it amazing that even though with this presidency that we actually still, Roe versus Wade was overturned, and again, it is not completely overturned, it's been pushed back to the states. And so the states have to decide, and the people have to decide. And so, so for majority of the Americans, they do not believe that late-term abortions are anywhere even good for this country. And there's a lot of people in this country, majority of people in this country, who believe that's completely wrong to abort a baby. And so if I were to take my taxpayer money and give it towards that, when I believe that that's murder, I am basically disobeying God. And my money then becomes cursed. And so the same thing happens for a nation. When the nation spends so much money on killing babies in the womb, that nation's finances will be cursed. And so I believe that this being overturned, we are going to see a supernatural blessing come upon this country. And I don't think the fight's over with. I think you're going to see a bunch of things turn around from this. I do think it's here to stay, but I think that we have got to continue to fight and continue praying. If you're a prayer warrior, that you have got to continue interceding for this. I mean, for so many years, so many people have fasted and prayed for this bill to be overturned. You know, even Ruth Gaynor's RGB disagreed with Roe versus Wade. It was just really bad policy, and done at a time when science was not even close to being what it is today and what we have available to us. And so being kicked back to the states, I think, is a way to go, because I think every state should be able to decide, those are the people that live there, of how they want to do things. And I think that also could be for many other things besides just Roe versus Wade. And but I think if you look spiritually even at throughout history, you see the god of Molech was always been people that would sacrifice their children to this god. And so I think abortion is the same type of thing. Especially in the minority groups, I think it's been a hatred upon black people. Black people have always had this, the devil has always hated black people. He kills their numbers hugely in abortion. With the AIDS virus, they have been attacked tremendously. And so you see these types of things because the black generation, the black people in America, have a special calling upon their life to do amazing things. You see them locked up in prisons, destroying their family units, abortion, I mean, all these kinds of things. The huge attacks upon the black people in America. That's a whole other conversation for a different day. But so I really do think this is a monumental thing. 50 years to the date. 50 years in the Bible is Jubilee. Every 50 years, everybody's debts were forgiven. The law passed at 10:10 yesterday or the day before. And so 10 is an important number. I mean, completion, a heavenly number. And so I think there's a lot of prophetic signs on this. I think there's going to be a huge turnaround. I think this sets up for big revival. I actually talked about it on Facebook over a year ago. I said when RGB died that we would actually be seeing Roe versus Wade overturned. And so I got one right last year. So, but I do think this is a better thing overall for the country. Now, my personal stance on if the mother's life is in jeopardy, you bet. You know, I think the mother's life outweighs the child's life in that situation. Also, in cases of extreme rape, you know, there's some Harvey, and I've never been in that situation. How can I speak on that? But there are some heavy consequences in that. That being said, there are women who have testimonies of giving birth to children that they were being raped, and those children have gone on to do amazing things. And there are women who have born, not just because you're poor does not mean you should have an abortion. There are many people who have come out of poverty and done amazing things for this earth, for this world. many people have come out of just because someone is disabled, I don't think either is a reason to have an abortion. God can do miracles in the womb and something can change and that child could be healed. I also worked with a group for over several years, ran a group home, several group homes here in the Phoenix Valley, where I worked with disabled adults from all different types of disabilities, and those people meant a lot to me. It was a very rewarding time, and I mean, we used to go on Friday nights out to the dances, and it would be like 100 and some disabled people out there dancing, and I would go out there and dance with them, and we'd have a great time. And a lot of them even knew God. One guy specifically had Down syndrome. His name was Roger, and every night he would pray before dinner, and it was beautiful. And so, guys, I think this is a great thing for the country, a great thing spiritually for us, and I think it's going to open doors for revival and huge blessings for this country. Now, with that being said, be careful, like what side of the aisle you get on to try to drive us apart, for that we're not together as a team, that we're not together as a group of people. Be careful that you also maybe need to do some research in your history and check into these organizations and check into these numbers, because the numbers are not always sick. Like, it's a very small percentage of people that are actually that fall into those categories of needing abortions, and some of it is it's just demonic and evil of way of taking out certain races. And so do your research, guys. But much love to you guys. Hope you have a great weekend. Peace out.